The word puffs, what does it mean to me personally? The outcast that you can really, trust and love and resonate with. I think they're probably one of the most realistic, real life groups of people that are, even though it's fantasy and whatnot, but I think in real life there are actual walking around, puffs in the world that, or people that would resonate. I can't even word it correctly. People that really are like puffs, and I just think that they're the most relatable out of everybody.
The word puffs means to me loyal, hardworking, and integrity.
The word puff personally to me means someone who is caring and will always be there for you, and will, no matter what you need, no matter, what it is, they will always, be there for you. They are loyal and true that way.
The word puffs means to me being loyal and kind-hearted.
Puffs means to me that no matter what, you stand by your friends, you always do what's right, whether that seems to be the best choice or not, that you're always going to be there to support everyone around you and to make sure that everyone around you is always happy and having fun.
When I think of the word puff, the first thing that comes to my mind is those little koosh balls, those Nerf balls that are just so puffy and soft. And we all had them as a kid. And I think of something that's soft and squeezy and fun, but and it's almost pointless. It's almost pointless. It's just this thing that squeezes, but we all had it and we all had fun. And I think that's what the Puffs is. Cedric says it best. We're all just a bunch of fun, really nice people. And badgers. Badgers are great.
I would say Puffs to me it can mean a lot of things depending on who you are as a person. To me, I think Puffs means just being there when no one else can be there to help, your friends. Like, if no one else can do it, I can.
Puffs means to me integrity. I think it's like doing the right thing even when no one's noticing.
Puffs are loyal. Puffs are hardworking, wonderful, good-natured people that you just can't help but love.
I think when I think of Puffs, I think of cheese, and then I think of the show. And I'm working on making sure that the show comes first and Cheese Puffs comes second.
Puffs means to me happiness, inclusion, and a willingness to be silly.
The word puffs means loyalty. It means standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves. It means supporting the underdog. It means making sure that everybody has a place and that everybody has a friend. And it means looking out for other people besides yourself.
Puff is happiness. It's just finding joy in the little things throughout your day. So you might not notice them if in our busy schedules, in our lives, they rush by us so quickly, but taking the time to really see the little things in life that make you happy or make others happy and noticing those and really just taking those with you.
Oh, what is my favorite spell and why? I think my favorite spell is Aviaphores, because it's just so silly. It just makes birds appear out of nowhere, and I don't necessarily know a reason why that would be useful, but it's there, and I think that's funny.
I think my favorite spell is probably just Eat Slugs. because it has no qualities of being a spell at all. It's just saying the thing that it's doing, and that just kind of makes me laugh.
Olive Guardium Leviosa is my favorite spell, and that's because the name is fantastic and the pronunciation of it is very important.
My favorite spell in the play is Aviaphores, 'cause it makes a bird.
Within the play, there's lots of different spells. I think probably my favorite is an ad-libbed one that I get to say later on in the show, which is Slapios. It's a slapping spell.
My favorite spell. I would say my favorite spell is Aviaphores, strictly because so many birds keep popping up, and Professor McGee has this wonderful line where she shows up because so many birds have just popped up, gotten thrown off stage, and she comes out and just goes, "Who is throwing these birds?" And it always makes me laugh.
I'm trying to remember how to say it because it's not one of my spells. Igneous Caniataro, I believe is the spell. It basically transforms a rock into a dog. And who doesn't want more dogs? Less rocks, more dogs.
My favorite spell in the play is the levitation spell, which is again something I get to make up. And then we use it several times throughout the play. So as written, it is Olive Guardium Leviosa. No, Olive Guardium Leviosa. But I can change whatever I want. So I've come up with some fun ones. Dihardium Leviosa, Captain Picardium Leviosa, anything that rhymes with ardium. I get to play with that, and then they get to repeat it several times throughout the show as we use the spell again. So that's fun for me.
My favorite spell would probably be Rickman Sempra, just for the very clever nod to our original storyline.
I think in the play, my favorite spell is one that I get to cast, and it is Existentio Crisis. And I think you can probably, well, it does what it kind of says it does, so.
My favorite spell out in the whole play is Rickman Sempra, because it pays homage to the great Alan Rickman.
My favorite spell, I really enjoy Flashbackio to 1981 when they're doing their flashback sequence. I also enjoy some of the ones that are improv'd by our amazing actors, so they get to kind of tweak some of the spells that they're going to be saying, and just listening to that live is hilarious. So I'm going to have trouble keeping quiet up in the booth.
My favorite class at the school is probably herbology, because getting to work with plants is just basically the best.
Herbology. It's basically the best. Yeah.
My favorite class in the play? Probably the frog choir.
Oh, herbology is absolutely my favorite class. You know, being a puff, that ranks right up there.
My favorite class is herbology, because it's basically the best.
My favorite class is divination, because you get to tell the future and see how you're going to die.
My favorite class is herbology, obviously, because I'm a puff, and it's the only thing that J. Finch Fletchley is any good at.
My favorite class is definitely herbology, because it's basically the best.
Well, my favorite class has to be potions. Might be because I know a particular potions professor who is pretty amazing and may or not be also played by me. And it's a fun class. You get to, it's like chemistry, but you actually get to make things that are useful and not necessarily as dangerous as chemistry.
Well, I guess I have to answer herbology. It's basically the best, and every puff absolutely loves herbology.
My favorite class at a certain school of magic and magic is most certainly herbology, because it's the best. Yay, plants!
I actually don't think I take any classes in this show. Cedric doesn't take any classes. Nice.
What I find appealing about PUFFS is its message towards the end of the show. There's a lot of fun and a lot of silly things, and we lampoon a lot of the subject material in the show. But with Puffs, towards the end of the show, you get to see what it really means to be a hero, and what it really means to be a friend, and what it really means to be a witch or wizard in this world. The world of a certain school of magic and magic is very dangerous and fraught, and just being a teenager at all is dangerous and fraught. And so to combine both of those together and really get to those messages and life's lessons at the end of the story is something, it almost catches you off guard without being too cheesy. It's very sentimental, and I really enjoy it.
As a stage manager, I love the fast-paced nature of the show. I love that it is an ensemble piece, so there's no one star of the show. It is everyone's game. And there is not a scene that goes by that not everyone is vitally important to not only pushing forward the plot and the dialogue, but also all of the interaction of the props and the really simplistic set that you have only 5 doors on this set, but you can do so much with them. So I love how complex it is within its simplicity.
I love, there's so much about this show that appeals to me. I love the humor in this show. The show is tremendously funny, but it also has a great bit of depth and meaning to it as well, which pairs with the humor and really kind of shows a different light to a story that you're kind of used to hearing.
Just because I am a big fan of, just in general of what it is based off of. And I always have been a fan since it came out and whatnot. And it just kind of brings out the quirkiness in everybody. So I am part of that house. So, so I definitely resonate with that character.
What appeals to me about the show of Puffs is just how zany and crazy it is. I've never taken myself very serious as an actor. I've always thought of myself as the kind of person that's wacky and out there and a little Jim Carrey and Robin Williams-like in certain aspects. So I've always been drawn to shows where you can be really weird and really zany and not have to worry about, I'm drawing on my past emotions, the pain that I have felt, and I will use that now. I prefer to make people laugh and be weird.
I really like the show Puffs because I'm a big wizard fan. I love everything about that fandom. So when I first heard that we were doing a show about my favorite house, I was all on board. I loved it so much, and it's so funny and so fast. It's a show for people who are big wizard fans.
I think the most appealing part of this play is both the style of comedy that it has running throughout it, and also the message that it gives at the end. It's just sort of talking about how everyone wants to be important and everyone is important in their own way, all while being absolutely gut-bustingly hilarious.
The show appeals to me in a lot of ways. There's a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of treatment of everyone as fair and equal and loving, and friendship being the most important thing.
The message of the show really appeals to me. The show itself, although it's really funny, and especially if you're a fan of this particular fandom, you're going to get every inside joke and just laugh for hours. The message is really poignant and really special. It's so heartwarming and really relatable to people, really no matter what house you belong to in this fandom or how you feel about really anything. It's a very universal message of acceptance and belonging and finding your tribe.
I think the show appeals to me, first of all, because I'm such a puff at heart, but I think that all of us have a little puffiness in us, even if we don't want to admit it. I think that everybody can find some character in this show to relate to, whether it's that you're such a true puff that you forget your keys or get lost sometimes, or just love people and are goofy, or I just think there's so many different ways to connect to this beautiful story.
I really think that the overall message of you don't have to be some big important role in life in order to have an important impact on a small number of people.
The thing about Puffs that appeals to me the most is the humor, the pace, the silliness. I love being able to do multiple characters and multiple accents and just kind of showcase all the weird stuff that I can do. And Puffs is a great platform to do that through.
What appeals to me about the show, at first I thought that it was funny and poking fun at the original content, but the more that I've worked in it and the more that the cast has worked together, the more it's really shown how much heart it has and how much the show cares about its characters and about what the audience takes away from it.
Southern California audiences should come to PUFFS or 7 Eventful Years at a certain school of magic and magic because it is a West Coast premiere. You should definitely see the show. It did very well on Broadway, but more importantly, that the show has a lot of heart. It's a lot of fun, and I can't imagine spending a better 2 hours in a theater than being with my friends, learning about other people, and just having a lot of fun laughing and learning life lessons.
The Southern California audience should be going to PUFFS because, first of all, the show is hilarious and you're going to love it. Especially if you like anything in this fandom, you're going to be rolling in the aisles laughing. It's fantastic. Again, it's a really poignant message and a message that I think we kind of need right now. A message of acceptance and accepting oneself. And the fact that the show just closed off Broadway, and now we're really kind of the only place you can see it.
Oh, the Southern California audience must go to PUFFS because it's so much fun. It's hysterical. Like I said, it's a completely different take on a story that you're already used to hearing. And so because of that, and also because of the message and the meaning behind it, I think the audience gets a lot out of it.
Southern Californians must go to PUFFS because it's the West Coast premiere. They have to see they have to see the special effects and the quick jokes and just be on the ball because it is a very fast show and it's very fun. You gotta be on it.
I think this play is important to see, even if you haven't quite familiarized yourself with the PUFFS universe prior to this. There's jokes for everyone. There's jokes for longtime fans and a beautiful message throughout it all.
The Southern California audience should go see PUFFS because third or nothing. You'll find out in the play what that actually means if you actually come and see it.
Well, PUFFS on Broadway is actually closing in August, right about when we happen to be opening. So for a lot of people, it's not accessible to be able to go to the East Coast and see it before it closes. And it is just such a fantastic show, especially if you love that certain school of magic and magic. It is, you can't miss it.
The Southern California audience should go to PUFFS because it's unlike any show that has been. When this show first came out, it sure seemed like it was just a funny, like poking fun at the original content. But now it is its own thing, and it really feels important. And I think that the Southern California audience should go to PUFFS because you'll have a lot of fun and you'll walk away feeling really good.
I think it's extremely important that Southern California audiences come see PUFFS because the message it brings is very home. It's very clear, and it's very much about just being you. And I think in a town so close to LA where everything is so glamour and glitzy, that just being you and being happy with yourself and being with your friends is the most important thing.
I think the Southern California audience really should see PUFFS because it's such an important show, really for any time, but especially right now, as I feel like there's so many things that are going on in our world that are tearing people apart. And I think that this show really brings everybody together, and it shows that no matter what our differences are, we can all find common ground, and we can all find the puff inside of us. And I also think it's important for everyone to come just so you can laugh and have a great time, because this show is going to be so fun, full of laughter, and just a ridiculous good old time.
Well, I first of all think that Southern California needs to be more involved in theater as a whole. On the East Coast, it's very much the norm on the weekends or whenever, like, oh, we have some free time, let's go see a show. And I feel like the West Coast is missing that a little bit. LA is very oversaturated with all of their theaters, but South Orange County and just kind of Orange County in general, I want audiences over here to be inspired to really surround themselves more with the arts. And so I think that this show could be a fun lead-in into kind of catching the bug, if you will, that all of us actors have.
The Southern California audience has to come to PUFFS because it's their first chance to see it outside of New York. And it's just a phenomenal play. It's so much fun. Anyone who's a fan of anything wizardry related is gonna just love it. It's full of whimsy and charm, and the pace is great. It has so much humor, so many laughs, while also, some sad and some poignant moments, and some really good points behind it. It's really what live theater is supposed to be. And we're going to pull it off with some flamboyance. I think they're going to have a lot of fun.
The Southern California audience must come see PUFFS because it just closed on Broadway. You can't see it out there. Come see us. We're awesome. We're hilarious. We're the West Coast premiere, baby. Come on down.